All righty, welcome back. That was the great Stephen A. Smith, who's joining us now. He's the host of First Take on ESPN. He's got the No Mercy podcast on the Odyssey app, and he's got a book, too, Straight Shooter. And Stephen A., thanks for joining us. You've done it a few times over the last year or so. Really appreciate it, man.
No problem, man. What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing?
Well, I mean, Bird and Dominique, LeBron scored 25 straight points, Magic in Game 6, his rookie year, all the great performances. What'd you think of Steph Curry yesterday?
Oh, I thought it was one of the most sensational performances I've ever seen in all my years of covering the sport. 50 points and 20 of 38 shooting, 7 of 18 from three-point range. I mean, the ball handling skills, the maneuvering through the paint, scoring like 22 points in the paint area, doing the things that he was doing. Every basket seemed to be needed. Andrew Wiggins spent portions of the game in the second half literally trying to give it away before Steph Curry took over. Klay Thompson couldn't hit water if he was standing in the damn ocean in the first half. Shooting 1 of 10 before he made some shots, a couple of shots in the second half. Jordan Poole, don't get me started with him. But for Steph Curry to be faced against all of that and to go out there and perform the way that he did, people want to be stars when it comes to going to the negotiating table. They want to be stars and superstars when it comes to getting paid. But when the bright lights come on and the pressure mounts and it's their time to validate who exactly they are and what they're made of, we've seen far too many fold under such duress. That clearly wasn't Steph Curry yesterday. It was one of the greatest performances I've ever seen, and I think something that served to cement his legacy, even though it was already cemented in my mind as the first ballot for surefire future Hall of Famer, unanimous vote, as the greatest shooter that God ever created. Just when you think that he's shown you that he's finished, you learn that's not the case.
Stephen A., you telling the gospel, and I told my partner I'm trying not to focus and look forward, but man, when I look at the field, the NBA chessboard, Stephen, I'm starting to think, could he do it again and get number 5 and pass LeBron?
Well, I think it's possible. I think that Denver, in my opinion, is going to have something to say about that. They are legit. They are hungry. They've got a huge, huge chip on their shoulder. And believe it or not, as great as he is, this time of year, they are not led by Nikola Jokic. They are led by Jamal Murray. The last time we saw this brother in the postseason, he took them to the conference finals. The last time we saw this brother in the playoffs, he was dropping 40 and 50 plus on Utah and the Lakers and others. I mean, this brother's something special. They've got folks counting them out, and they're tired of it. You look at them, they've got size, they've got athleticism, they've got perimeter shooting, they've got defense, they've got athletes. They don't wilt beneath pressure. They've got that high altitude to their advantage where they're in Denver. There's a lot that's going for them as the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, and they are a team to be reckoned with. Certainly, if they went against the Golden State Warriors, you'd have to label them the favorites in that series. But they don't have Steph Curry. The Warriors do. And I think that when you look at it from that perspective, against a team like Denver, someone other than Steph Curry will have to step up to help Steph Curry. And that's really what this comes down to. It remains to be seen what's going to happen. But the reality is they're in the Final Four of the Western Conference, and based on the 11-30 road record and the up and down roller coaster ride they had throughout this regular season, to see themselves here just says a lot about the character of the Golden State Warriors, and I can't say it enough.
You're listening to Stephen A. Smith. He's the host of First Take on ESPN, among many, many other things. He's kind enough to join us today. And let me ask you this. I know for a fact that you obviously believe the Warriors can still win it this year.
Yes.
Not that they will, but they can. If they don't win it, Stephen A., what do you think's going to get them beat?
I think a dominant big man presence, like if Anthony Davis goes ballistic, if LeBron is posting dudes up and Kevon Looney and Draymond Green, since we don't have an answer for that girth and that strength, I definitely think that would be one element The other element is the sporadic play of Jordan Poole. And the reason I'm going to say that, and a Jordan Poole, and the activity, whether or not Steve Kerr is going to choose to have faith in Kuminga, who I think has tremendous potential. Here's why those things are relevant. Steph is going to be Steph. Yesterday, it was good enough against a very, very talented but very, very young Sacramento Kings team. When you're going up against Denver, LA beforehand, that's experience. LeBron James and Anthony Davis have been here before. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Jamal Murray, Jokic, and these guys, they haven't been Kentavious Caldwell-Pope won a championship, but those other guys haven't won a quote-unquote championship, but they've been in the playoffs. This is not new to them. This is their first appearance since 2006. And so when you look at it from that perspective, it's going to take others. And although Klay Thompson really wet the bed, first of all, he disgusted me in Game 6 because he wouldn't shoot in the lane. He kept giving the ball up instead of just keeping the ball and shooting his shot. And then in Game 7, he just couldn't buy a basket. Those are aberrations. Klay Thompson is usually a dude that you can rely upon to be a marksman extraordinaire. And I'm going to assume that was a mistake. That's a Milligan that he should be granted, and that's that. Jordan Poole is who's alarming me. Last time I checked, he got his back. He's getting paid about $140 million. The hell are you doing? What was that performance in Game 6, which is one of the most pathetic, putrid performances I've ever seen him put forth? He was turning the ball over. He seemed completely erratic and out of it. He seemed more concerned with getting his points and showing what he could do rather than playing winning basketball. And in Game 7, he wasn't much damn better. And so when I look at it from that perspective, you need this guy. He's talented. He's not a scrub. And he needs to be reminded of his days when he was trying to get to the NBA so he can remember what it takes and make sure he does all of those things instead of just trying to showcase his ball handling skills, his ability to hit perimeter shots and get to the hole and stuff like that. When everybody and their mother know you're getting your shot blocked 9 times out of 10 this time of year, they're waiting for him to come to the hole. They want him to pass up jumpers and come to the hole just so they can smack it out of here. He's got to recognize that and be more effective and more efficient and go about the business of doing what he's supposed to do in order for Golden State to have a team.
Stephen
and
A.
Wiggins, too, because Wiggins wasn't that damn impressive yesterday.
Now, you're right. The Warriors needed every one of Steph's 50 points. But, Stephen A., one of the things I like doing when you see a stellar performance like Steph, I run it back before I go to bed and just try to capture all of it. And I'm just sitting there like, man, this was incredible. But with that said, my partner came in, went Chris Rock on me. He said, my top 5. And I got thick skin, so you let me know. I said I got Steph Curry over Magic Johnson at the point guard position. You say what to that?
I say it's a worthy discussion. I've been threatened by Hall of Famers who will remain nameless that told me don't I dare definitively state that as a case because they're very, very big on Magic. And the argument they use is that Magic affected the game in a multitude of ways. Whereas when Steph Curry is not shooting the ball effectively, we don't talk about him in that light. That is their position. My position is that when you look at the greatness of Steph Curry, I just can't say enough about it. And the time has come to really show him the level of deference that he's due to at least acknowledge that question alone is not blasphemous. When you think about Steph Curry, think about this. This is a guy, when you talk about guys, and I threw this up on First Take this morning, Steph Curry is 23-4 in playoff series. That's his record. That is an 85% career playoff series winning percentage. That is better than Michael Jordan, 81%, Magic Johnson, 80%, LeBron James, 78%, Kobe, 77%, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 75%, Larry Bird, 72%, and Shaq and Kevin Durant, both at 71%. The one definitive Hall of Famer and winner who has a better playoff series winning record than percentage than Steph Curry is Bill Russell. That is it. That is what we're talking about here. And when you look at it from that perspective, and you talk about him being the leader in all-time highest true shooting percentage at 62.7%, when you talk about his NBA Finals, 4 championships, 2 league MVPs, 1 NBA Finals MVP, and you see the effect that he has had in revolutionizing the game of basketball because of his shooting prowess. No one can deny that that is a worthy discussion. And the best way that I can answer that question, Magic won a champion as a center, a point guard who played center, going up against Darryl Dawkins and Caldwell Jones. Magic Johnson did do that, dropped 42, 15, and 7. Magic Johnson is a 5-time champion. Magic Johnson is one of the greatest leaders this game has ever seen. Here's the greatest thing that I could say. Somebody wants to debate who's better or not as a point guard, fine, because they want to look at quintessential point guard, distributing the basketball, running an offense, and they want to say that's Magic. Here's what I said. Tell me that I have a choice to have Steph Curry or Irvin Magic Johnson. And I have gotten to the point, even before yesterday's game, where I would pick Steph Curry. I would want
the chef.
Steph Curry.
All right, so that's a worthy discussion. Here's one. You tell me if this one's a worthy discussion. Although I know what I think. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, maybe the greatest scorer of all time, the unstoppable skyhook. I actually think Steph Curry's more impactful than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and the reason I say that is because Steph Curry's three-point shot is his skyhook. And when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was in the league, you either didn't double team him because it didn't matter, or you did double team him, and that double team occurred in the low post, and it spread out. It opened up outside shots. Steph Curry gets double team off and out on the floor, which opens up the middle of the lane for actually layups and dunks at times or kick out threes. So I actually think he's every bit as impactful as the greatest offensive players ever.
Well, first of all, you're right. But secondly, let's not throw shade in any way on Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or any center for that matter, because the center affects the game differently. What they force you to do is collapse and try to suffocate them because they're so big, they're so powerful, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's case, so tall with an unstoppable move that you really, really don't have much that you can do other than a double team them. In the case of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, it made no sense because all he has to do is turn around and throw the sky hook. So most often than not, he didn't have a double team coming his way because the double team did nothing for him. All he would do was turn around. He never had to bring the ball down. All he had to do was hold the ball above his head, turn around, and throw in the sky hook. And so because of that, you didn't throw double teams at him on all of those occasions. So it's just different. But clearly, Steph Curry has had a profound effect on the game, and I think that when you look at it, what you have to pay attention to most, and this is what I give Steph Curry most credit for. If you're an aspiring basketball player out there, most people who want to shoot well, particularly if they idolize the greatness of Steph Curry, will go to the basketball court and they'll shoot 500 to 1,000 jump shots a day. That's what they would do. You know what they won't do? They won't get on the track or the swimming pool or some hyperbaric chamber and run the way that he does, or the swimming pool, or eat what he eats and avoid what he doesn't or what he avoids eating. They won't do all of those things because what they're missing is the true greatness in my mind of Steph Curry is his movement without the basketball. The fact that he's constantly in motion and you're constantly wondering where the hell he is. And guess why you have to do that? Because he doesn't tire out. He's usually in better shape than the people that are on the court with him. No one ever talks about that. You remember J.R. Smith highlighted how Matthew Dellavedova on an Instagram post, he highlighted how Matthew Dellavedova years ago was close to death because he was so exhausted from having to chase around Steph Curry. I don't know what it is, but this brother's in shape. And his stamina and his lung capacity and his ability to endure is his greatest gift. Because no matter what you see him on the court doing, guys, you don't have to play on this level to know this. You tell me, guys, what person could do that if they're too exhausted to move?
It's incredible.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody. They couldn't do it. You couldn't handle the ball as much as he does. You couldn't run through picks and screens as much as he does. You couldn't move without the basketball as religiously as he does. You couldn't do all of those things if you were exhausted. And if he couldn't do all of those things, he wouldn't be able to get free to launch. Therefore, he wouldn't be as effective as he is as a shooter. His number one gift is his endurance.
Yeah, no doubt. Stephen A., let me ask you about this mammoth of a series tomorrow, because I don't got to tell you, Bron, Curry, they're both made men. But Curry is 15-7 in the playoffs against LeBron James. We know about the finals. He's beaten them in a crazy way. Stephen, who needs this more for their portfolio that when they're fishing together years from now, they can say, I got you, even though this is not a finals matchup?
Well, you could make an argument for both of them needing it more. In the case of LeBron James, you're already 1-3 against Steph Curry. And that's in the finals, okay? But the reality of the situation is that this would virtually count as 1 for 4. Because, you met him in the postseason. The only time you meet him in the postseason, y'all were in different conferences, so it was in the finals. But now that you're in the same conference, okay, this would count as a postseason loss against Steph Curry as well, obviously. So that would be problematic for LeBron James in and of itself in that regard. But then we take it a step further. Steph Curry would be in position to eclipse LeBron as having more titles, okay? He has more scoring titles. LeBron outnumbers him, outscores, his numbers are better. Points per game, assists and rebounds per game, along with field goal percentage shooting. His field goal percentage shooting against Steph Curry is better than Steph Curry's. Okay? Steph Curry shoots better than him from 3-point range, but LeBron has those other 4 categories that I mentioned. And so we look at it, and then we can come into the makeup of the team and how Steph Curry just had a better team, et cetera, et cetera. But in the end, what it comes down to is that Steph Curry at the age of 35, close to 4 years younger than LeBron James, is still going strong and doing his thing and is better positioned to make something happen in years to come. LeBron, even though he's shown very, very small samples of him deteriorating in any way, we find ourselves questioning whether or not this is the last hurrah, because the Lakers aren't perceived as being the team that has the weapons that the Golden State Warriors have. And so you can make an argument for both, for or against, but it's absolutely great. It's fascinating, and we're all very lucky. Because as great as De'Aaron Fox is and as great of a season as the Sacramento Kings had, we all know this is the matchup we wanted to see. The Lakers and the Warriors, LeBron and Steph. We didn't want to see LeBron versus De'Aaron Fox. We wanted to see this.
Yeah. All right, last one. Who's winning the series?
Uh-oh.
I got the Warriors.
All right,
Stephen A.
I picked the Warriors. I picked the Warriors to defend their crown. At the start of the season. As a matter of fact, the day after they won the championship last year, I picked them to repeat. They gave me cause to pause on several occasions this year. Kuminga and his lack of development at one point in time. Wiseman and his flagrant lack of development, even though I like him very much. Moody, I was told these brothers was going to be ready this year. That hasn't necessarily been the case. Then you've got the whole Draymond Jordan Poole thing that happened at the beginning of the season. Compromised his ability to lead for a long period of time. We saw their road record, 11-30. We saw these injuries, and we said, well, damn, I don't know if they got it, because I'm looking at Denver. I'm looking at Phoenix acquiring Kevin Durant. I'm looking at Memphis before they completely melted and what have you. You look at all of these things, but in the end, it's about the leadership. It's about the organization. It's about the personnel, and I'm of the mindset that if Klay Thompson shows up with Steph Curry, the Golden State Warriors can beat anybody.
That means you would be back in the Bay.
I'm picking them to beat the Lakers. Yeah. I'm picking them to beat the Lakers.
All right,
wow, Stephen A.
Stephen A.
I do think it'll take 7 though.
All right,
but I believe they will beat the Lakers.
All right, fair enough. Hey, man, you've been kind to us. Really appreciate it, Stephen A. And have a great rest of the day.
Thank y'all. Take care.
All right, Stephen A. Smith, host of First Take on ESPN, the No Mercy podcast on the Odyssey app. And he's got a book out now, Straight Shooter, a memoir of second chances and